So here we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the finale of this championship season. It concludes tomorrow night as Brentford go up against Fulham at Wembley in the championship playoff final. It's been some season, hasn't it? And today we're going to be predicting the outcome of this match. It should be a thriller. Before we do get into anything, I'd say I've had a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to predicting championship playoff finals. I've predicted the last 3 of them on this channel, and so far I've got a 33% success rate. Back in 2017 when it was Huddersfield against Reading, I backed Reading to win that one. Huddersfield won it. In 2018 when it was Fulham against Aston Villa, I backed Villa to win that one. Fulham came through that one, but last year was finally the first playoff final which I've correctly predicted. I did back Aston Villa to get past Derby and they went ahead and did that. So let's see if I can be bang on the money with this one, Brentford against Fulham. Guys, let me know in the comments down below what do you think is going to happen tomorrow night. Get your score predictions in. And speaking of your guys' score predictions, I will include them on screen now. So fair play to everyone who did get one of their score predictions right for the second leg of the playoff semi-finals. We'll be discussing them throughout today's video as well. The championship's unpredictable at the best of times, but the playoff semi-finals especially, it just takes that to a whole nother level, doesn't it? So like I say, fair play to everyone that got one right. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like. But without any further ado, let's hop into my predictions. So here we go, guys, into the biggest game of the season, Brentford against Fulham. Now, there is the general stereotype about the championship playoff final being fairly low scoring, and that has been the case with the vast majority of the last few playoff finals. In fact, only one of the last 7 has seen both teams scoring in the final, and that was last year, Aston Villa against Derby. However, with these two sides, you get the feeling that they're both at their best when they are going forward and attacking each other. If we look at how they both got through the second leg of their playoff semi-final, Brentford beating Swansea by 3-1, 3-2 on aggregate. It was an unbelievable first 25 minutes, you know. We've thrown the accusation that Brentford recently, you know, in pressured situations, they have crumbled a little bit. You know, before this one, they had lost their previous 3 matches, but the first 25 minutes, especially this game, this was Brentford at their best, you know, when that intensity's there within their play. First goal was an example of just how ruthless they can be on the counter-attack. Raya takes the ball perfectly from the corner kick, throws it out to Jensen. Jensen gets that inch-perfect ball going through to Ollie Watkins, and he does what he's done all season and tucks that one away. The second goal from Marcondes has been excellent in the second half of this season. Brilliant ball in from side Benrahma, and Brentford could have been out of sight by this point. You know, Benrahma hit the post shortly after that as well. It was, like I say, a dazzling first 25 minutes, and then when they did eventually make it 3 in the second half thanks to Mbemo, you're thinking then that they are out of sight, but late on things were set up for a bit more of a nervy finish. I'm not sure what Pontus Jansson's doing in this situation, trying to flick the ball away. Brewster gets it on goal and chips David Raya fantastically, but you can't really throw too many questions at this Brentford defence because they've been ridiculously tight throughout the season. They've only conceded 38 goals in the league, the second best defensive record behind Leeds United. However, there have been a couple situations. I remember Pontus Jansson making a fairly similar sort of mistake when we played them at Deepdale earlier on this season, but for the vast majority of the season, he has been a rock at the back alongside Ethan Pinnock, and they're going to have to be on top of their game to contain this Fulham side, aren't they? But like I say, with how Brentford got through that playoff semi-final against Swansea, it was Brentford looking back to their best after they had hit a bit of a rocky patch in their season, losing those 3 matches. I think that when it comes to that Brentford side, it pretty much picks itself going into the final. The only sort of question you've got maybe is whether you go for De Silva or Marcondes in midfield, but apart from that, you know, it's going to be David Raya and net. The back 4, you'd imagine they'd say the same: Dalsgaard, Ethan Pinnock, Pontus Jansson and Rico Henry, who have all been fantastic this season. Midfield 2, Norgård and Jensen, you'd imagine as a start, but it would be a question of whether you throw De Silva back in for it, and then that forward 3 who's been absolutely ruthless throughout the season so far. So for Brentford, you know what you're going to expect really. If the game is played at this high intensity, I'd say it probably would suit them a little bit more. And then we get to Fulham, and I'm sure the Fulham fans' nerves are still recovering from Thursday night. That game against Cardiff was a bit mental in the end, wasn't it? Cardiff won 2-1, but Fulham getting through 3-2 on aggregate. It was Cardiff who took the lead fairly early on in this one. Nelson with a header after 8 minutes. Now, from these set-piece situations, it's going to be one area where they're going to have to be cautious going into Wembley. Brentford have scored from 16 set-pieces so far this season, and it has been one area where they could get caught out. You know, they have been a little bit throughout the season with those direct balls coming in, but they responded instantly. Cabano, who's hit an excellent run of form towards the end of this season. A brilliant ball in from Bobby Reid, who's also caught my eye recently for Fulham, getting them back into it. Lee Tomlin then makes it 2-1 to Cardiff in the second half, and that sets up a nervy end, but Marek Rodak made a couple of terrific saves towards the end. Rodak, who's probably been one of, if not the best keepers in the Championship since his introduction into the first team at Fulham. once again, fantastic for them. But getting into the final, you'd probably say, I know a lot of people I've seen so far on social media backing Brentford for this one, but one edge that Fulham have over Brentford is that Wembley experience and know-how. You know, a couple of years ago, they were in this exact same situation against Aston Villa. They walked away victorious in that one, winning it by 1-0. Tom Kearney with the only goal in that game. And I know that the squad has changed quite considerably since that match, but still, you've got a few key figures in that dressing room who were at Wembley last time round. If we look at Fulham's starting lineup from that game, which did beat Aston Villa a couple of years ago, the names in there who are still in and around the first team: Tim Ream, Dennis Odoi, Tom Kearney, Mitrovic, Kamara. And so there is a span of players in that dressing room who do have that know-how about them. But listen, going into a playoff final, are there really any favourites? You know, momentum and everything like that just sort of gets pushed away, doesn't it? And it is all about who can stand the pressure when it does come to these crunch situations. Now, with Fulham and their starting 11, it's going to be a little bit more unpredictable because there are a few players in there who are a bit touch and go in terms of their fitness, and that's no surprise really. You know, the amount of games that every championship club has played in such a quick succession has been absolutely ridiculous. I've been surprised really that more championship clubs haven't picked up more injuries over this period because of the constant football that everyone's been playing, especially those who are in the playoffs. And I mean, the biggest of those players is of course Mitrovic. He didn't feature for their 2 playoff semi-final legs, and I know that their record without Mitrovic is very good, but you want Mitrovic in the playoff final. If there's one player who can stand up and rise to the occasion, Mitrovic is undoubtedly that man in the championship. From what I've read, it does look more than likely that he will be available for this one, but you know, I don't think that Scott Parker would put out any information saying that, oh yeah, Mitrovic is definitely going to miss the final, because that would obviously play to Brentford's hands a little bit. So whether he starts or whether he has an impact off the bench, I think he will have some sort of influence on this game. Either way, it's Mitrovic in the final. And if the likes of Pontus Jansson and Ethan Pinnock are going toe-to-toe with him, you can't be affording to have any, you know, mess-ups at the back like Brentford did in that second leg against Swansea. You know, with that flick from Pontus Jansson, none of that in the final. But if we do look at the previous meetings between these two sides this season, it is advantage Brentford. They've done the double over Fulham this season, beating them 1-0 at Griffin Park and then 2-0 at Craven Cottage. The 2-0 game was the first game we had back since lockdown. Really two fantastic performances from Brentford. In the one at Griffin Park, Brentford, to be honest, it could have been more than 1-0 really. They were all over them. They took the lead fairly early on. Brandon Beamer after 22 minutes, nice link up between him and Ben Rama, and then after that they had several chances, but Rodak actually had the really top game for Fulham to keep the scoreline down. In the game at Craven Cottage, that one was a little bit more level. I thought Fulham actually played some really nice football in the first half, just couldn't quite find that opening goal. Mitrovic got into some really good areas, had 2 fantastic headers, but David Raya was level to both of them, and then going into the second half, Brentford just killed them on the counter-attack, and that's something that I could see happening at Wembley. You know, if I was to edge one side to edge the possession, it probably would be Fulham, but Brentford in those situations looking to pick them off can be just ruthless. Ben Rama got the first and then Marcondes the second. Marcondes had a fantastic game in that game at Craven Cottage, got a goal and an assist in that one. But in terms of my actual prediction, how do I see this game going? Well, Fulham's midfield 3 is going to have to be crucial for this one. If I had to predict who I see starting it as that midfield 3 for Fulham, provided that everyone's fit at the moment, based off form, you'd probably go for Tom Kearney, Harrison Reed and Josh Onoma. Their role's going to be crucial in the fact that they need to be moving the ball quick enough to set the tempo for themselves to get forward, but also they can't allow those gaps to open in the middle and allow Brentford's midfield to open up those spaces and get the ball in behind to their forward 3. You know, we all saw the playoff semi-final that Brentford had one pass from Jensen and their forward 3's in like that. It's tough to make the prediction without knowing the lineup as well. You know, will Mitrovic be in the squad or not? Funnily enough, if Mitrovic does play, it will be his 100th appearance for Fulham. So far he's scored 49 goals for them, so it would be quite poetic if on his 100th game for them he was to score his 50th goal and send them back up to the Premier League. As much as I want this game to be this absolute carnage goal fest, I think it may be a little bit more reserved than that, and this game, above all the other playoffs finals that we've had over the last few years, does have the potential to be that. I still do see this one being a fairly low scorer. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this one go into extra time as well, but as my score prediction, and I've been going to and fro with this one, I'm going to say that Brentford are going to win this one by 1-0. I see it being a 1-0. Whoever does get that first goal, it's going to be crucial, I think. FIFA is also back in Brentford. They've gone for a 2-0 win at Wembley, but you can't. I've got this niggling feeling in the back of my mind that, you know, Mitrovic is going to do something. You know, he's going to be introduced in like the 70th minute and they'll just score a bullet header or something like that. But I will go 1-0 Brentford. Goal scorer, I'll go Brandon Beamo. I fancy him in the final. But listen, this is the unpredictable nature of the Championship, and we all know my track record record with predicting finals as well. So guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you see happening in the playoff final? I'm going to go 1-0 Brentford. FIFA's going to go 2-0 Brentford. There's going to be fireworks whatever happens, isn't there? But guys, like I say, that will now wrap it up for today's video, and that will wrap it up for the season as well. Actually, that will be the last video covering the 19/20 season. After this, we're going to be moving on to covering, you know, all the new sides that are going to be entering the league as well. You know, congratulations to West Brom and Leeds who have already done that, and then good luck to both Fulham and Brentford. I'll be nervously watching this one. I feel invested, even though I don't support either of the two sides. I feel so invested because I've covered the season in such depth this season. But like I say, guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. So get your score predictions in the comments down below, and make sure to leave a like if you did go on to enjoy today's video. Subscribe to stay tuned for some regular championship content. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.